Tell me about social media and what that's meant to your brand and modernizing your brand in this era, because I think you've really done a great job of it. What has social media meant to your brand and accelerating your growth?
Yeah, I think it's been huge exposure for us. I know the millennials in particular, or as well as many, you get that feedback. Wow, you guys are everywhere. They get to see what we're all about. It's a great way to tell a story, tell your story. I think it's just elevated the brand and our exposure. It's just been an incredible tool. And I think, like my father, at the age he was at the time when I took over, this was kind of a new thing for him. So I know he'd be doing exactly the same things if he was living at my age.
You're listening to the Studio PTBO podcast, where we talk all things marketing to help you build and grow your business online. Welcome to the latest episode. Welcome to the Studio PTBO podcast. We are back at it again. Neil, this is exciting.
It is.
Who do we have today?
You're back at it. Scared the you-know-what out of me.
Back at it again.
Cody just got back from LA, so he's really excited. And he had his LeBron shirt here yesterday. We have Vanessa Hogan on the show for episode 50. Vanessa, welcome.
Thank you. I'm nervous now. I don't have a radio voice like you do.
All you have to do is yell.
Okay.
And
that
seem really
sounds
excited, and that's a radio voice.
Okay.
Vanessa is awesome. She is a real community builder, ambassador in the community, constantly giving back. She runs C21 United Realty, Brokerage, Inc.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
And she's been running that for 3 or 4 years now. She took over from her dad, Carl Oake, who ran it for 40 years.
Yeah.
He started in 1978, and Vanessa came back to Peterborough to take this over. And we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about real estate, community, social media, modernizing the brokerage like you've done while staying true to the roots of what it was. And we're going to take a deep dive into many different things today, but not high school when Vanessa and I used to hang out. And
I'm really curious to know more about Neil in high school. I think everyone else is too.
Neil in high school was boring. Vanessa wasn't. But no,
don't know.
we will not talk high school. But Vanessa, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
For those, tell us a little bit about your journey, because you did grow up in Peterborough. You went to St. Peter's.
Yeah.
And then you left for a long while, like I did as well. Tell us about your journey there a bit in Toronto and Oakville. You worked at Loblaws at some point after
I did.
Mac?
After Mac, actually, I traveled for 6 months with a friend through Fiji, the Cook Islands,
God, that's awesome.
New Zealand, Australia,
Right after Mac?
and Bali. Yeah, so I came back every summer in between my years at university. I'd come home and work at C21 United at the front desk, answering the phones, typing offers, because we used typewriters back then.
We're aging ourselves again.
Oh
here.
my gosh, I do it every day. And some of the people I worked with then are actually still there now, which is awesome. Anyway, so I decided to come back after my 4th year at Mac when I graduated to work until the new year, make some money for the traveling piece. And then we went, I forget what the question was.
Well, then after that, you went off to Toronto.
Yeah, I
and
got back. I
and
actually got my license, my real estate license, while I was working, making money for my trip.
Yeah.
Because I thought, if I don't get a job in Toronto, which was kind of my dream, I wanted to see what it was like to live in Toronto and work for a big company. But if that didn't happen for me, I was going to sell real estate. And I got back from my travels, and I did get a job right away with Loblaw companies. So that started my 12-year adventure in Toronto.
What was Loblaws like?
It was amazing.
So were you in the marketing sector, sales?
So I was in a few different things. I started in HR. I was hiring AZ truck drivers for the warehousing division. And then that moved into hiring the warehouse employees. And then I moved into project management and implementing their new warehouse management system. And then I wanted to see what it was like at head office downtown Yonge St. Clair. So I got a job in marketing there. And then I decided I didn't want to be in a cubicle anymore.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it was a great experience. Loblaws is an amazing company to start your career with. And I was there for 8 years, and I'm so grateful for everything I learned there. But then I got a job in food sales with Summit Foods, selling food to restaurants, and then moved on to pharmaceutical sales, and then started a family. So
cool. Good for you.
So at one point, like in your journey, like, going back, like when you originally started with Loblaws, at what point in your journey after that, did you say like you wanted to go back and like, do the home selling thing, like, and actually get back into real estate?
Yeah. So that's kind of a long story too.
Yeah.
So after our first child, I went back to work. We're still in Toronto, and actually went back to work pregnant. We started late. So anyway, I was only back at work for 9 months, and we decided I was going to stay home with the kids, which was amazing. I'm so happy I was able to do that. And that turned into 8 years of being a stay-at-home mom, never thinking I was even going to go back to work.
Okay.
And then we had the opportunity to move back here because my husband's family bought a car dealership here. They bought Holiday Ford.
Okay.
And that was like a dream for us. We were spending a lot of time coming back up here on the weekends, spending time with my family. We love it here, obviously. Loved Toronto, but raising a family, this is a better place, in my opinion, to do that. And we were very lucky that this happened. So we moved back and actually had our third child here, a few more years home. And then once he was ready to get into school, I was like, okay, I need to get out of the house. So I had to get my license again and just started selling. Just, my intention was part-time.
You were side hustling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
dabbling, seeing how it went.
Yeah.
Did your dad have a lot to do with playing into you going into real estate, or like what was that like? What was that dynamic there?
No, it was totally my decision. I remember calling him and saying, "Dad, I'm going to get my license," and that's pretty cool.
That's the best way, right? Not feeling pressured in any way.
Yeah, never.
So your dad wasn't running Facebook targeted ad campaigns,
no.
real estate against your Facebook feed.
Yeah, no, he was not
he
doing
wasn't
that.
hacking your attention. Yeah. And at what point then, so you were selling for a while, at what point, that's a huge leap to go from, a corporate career to side hustling for real estate for your dad's brokerage to then all of a sudden ownership.
Yeah.
So were you super intimidated? Or were you like, what am I doing? Or I'm just going to plunge into it, learn and go for it? Like,
as far as like taking over the brokerage?
Yeah, that transition from sales to ownership of a brokerage, it's much different, right?
Yeah, it's completely different role. They're completely different roles. Once I started selling real estate, I thought, oh my gosh, I've never done anything better. I love this. This is amazing. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a lot of highs, some lows when things don't go so great.
Yeah.
But I just found it to be so exciting. But then this role is just, I love it even more. I'm just obsessed, passionate about it. It's great.
And you're looking after a lot of people there.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Trying to kind of inherited a great culture that your dad formed there.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you've tried to stay true to that culture. But what does it like to? I don't want to say babysit but look after that many people because they have a lot of different needs. The psychology behind it, everyone's different. Have you learned to sort of adapt on the fly, or
yeah, I'm learning every day.
Yeah.
And I'm not being insulting in any way when I say this, but it is like parenting. Like you need to be really in tune with
100%.
People's feelings, and someone might be coming in angry about something or about something we've done, or whatever it may be. You need to understand where they're coming from and do your best to work through it. So I think as a team we're pretty good at that.
Mm-hmm. So being a good listener?
Yeah, for sure, being a good listener and trying to remain calm in all the situations you come up against.
Now, you said something really unique at your celebration this year, and we had the opportunity to work together over the last couple of years, and it's been a wild ride seeing your growth and your team and working with some people from your team. You said something unique at the celebration, saying you said that like this year for the first time ever you were the top in the PCAR board. You were the top in production and in units sold for the first time ever on the PCAR board. Yeah. Maybe tell me about that and like what, like, when you were like delivering that to your team for the first time and, like with your dad, your dad spent 40 years at the brokerage and this is the first time ever. So to take it over from your dad and to really essentially like, that's a massive feat. Like, tell me of like what was going through your head at the time and how do you think you got to where you are today?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think a lot of it
brag,
was...
Vanessa.
Yeah. I don't know. It's timing, where we're at with the real estate industry and technology, and we do everything to embrace the technology that is available to us. C21 Canada has a beautiful, strong vision, and they provide us with amazing tools. And, every brokerage can pick and choose what they want to use, that they send us. We grab everything and we run with it, and we try to empower our agents to use these tools, help them understand how they're going to benefit them. And I think, you know, because I'm not alone in this. We have a great team. I have 2 full-time managers that don't sell, and as a team, we work together to make those agents better. And that's, I think, the secret. I don't think there's another office in the area that has that type of team working for the agents. That's our complete focus. It's win-win, obviously.
Yeah.
They do well, we do well, and we're passionate about it.
Love it.
Yeah, and you do a lot of team bonding days as well. I've really noticed to help enhance the culture. Is that something that you picked up from your dad, or have you sort of taken that to the next level?
He is the champ at that. He always.
Yeah.
I go to a conference, which is I'm going next week. Actually, it's in Victoria this year, which is amazing. But this is a Canada-wide C21 conference, and I'll meet somebody, and then someone will say, "Oh, this is Carl Oak's daughter." "Oh my gosh, you're Carl's daughter. He's amazing."
I
like
love it.
he's legendary. So he used to go to these conferences and get like a big suite and have everybody in, like from all over Canada. So he'd do that, but always team building, mystery tours where you get on a bus, you don't know where you're going. Like he's definitely a champ at that. So.
Yeah, I really noticed that on social media, because you sort of document, like we've talked about, document the journey of like modernizing this brokerage and telling the story that you guys seem to be really unified in your vision for the brokerage and the kind of culture. Tell me about the social media and what that's meant to your brand and modernizing your brand in this era, because I think you've really done a great job of it. You've really listened. You've worked with us over the years, Cody and I, and it's not because of us, but we've said this is what you should do, and you've really been doing and executing on it. What has social media meant to your brand and accelerating your growth?
I think it's been huge exposure for us. I know the millennials in particular, or as well as many, you get that feedback. Wow, you guys are everywhere. They get to see what we're all about. It's a great way to tell a story, tell your story. I think it's just elevated the brand and our exposure. It's just been an incredible tool. And I think, like my father, at the age he was at the time when I took over, you know, this was kind of a new thing for him. So I know he'd be doing exactly the same things if he was living at my age.
Totally. I like how you word, like you put that, like, you know, he'd be doing the same thing. So it's like, it's almost like a lot of the key principles that, you know, you've learned from him prior to, and you just kind of adapted and taken a lot of the team building stuff that he kind of implemented in the brokerage, and you just kind of added these things and not afraid to adapt to new things and change new things as technology, you know, you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, technology advances. I'm really curious to know, just like within the team dynamic, specifically how, you know, we've chatted a lot about, you know, you wanting to, you know, find the best possible talent, you know, and you're finding the best possible talent. I'm really curious to know, like, you know, what do you think, when you talk, like, what do you think separates the brokerage and what you're doing from, you know, everyone else in Canada?
Well, I mentioned earlier, I think having a management team that isn't selling and competing with their agents is really key, and we are focused on their success. So we run a ton of training, coaching, one-on-one coaching groups. We have Rob Vivian, who is a real estate coach, comes in once a month. So it's just people come to our brokerage and they can't believe the amount of training and development that we provide. And I've had them say, you know, they've learned more in the first week than they had anywhere.
I love that, because like we chat about that often, even on the podcast, about personal development, and like really, and we you know, we've been really strong advocates of this. Like with our own agency, we've invested thousands of dollars into making sure that we're around the top people in the world when it comes to Facebook ads, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to being around the best business mentors in the world. So like investing in your team, investing in your business, I really believe is the thing that takes you to the next level as a business. Not being afraid
100%.
To spend money in order to make money.
Yeah, I mean, you just came back from Los Angeles to literally, I mean, go to a 3-hour networking event, but the ROI we're going to get out of that, and the global network connections we got out of that is phenomenal. So we've really learned that growth, not only locally, but globally, how to apply that in terms of how we're building our agency. And another big foundation of what we do and what you do is giving back to the community. So tell us about that. So Carl Oak's Rotary
Swimathon.
Swimathon
okay.
has been, iconic in town, and you do the Salvation Christmas Drive. You do sponsorship of the Peterborough Lakers. They just won last night in Victoria.
Amazing.
What does that mean to you? Sponsorship, giving back to the community. Is that something that, again, your dad sort of espoused and you've sort of picked up on that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He started that. That's always been a key part of our culture, and I'm really happy and honored to carry that on. So, yeah, we've done 33 years with the Swimathon. I think that we're going into our 34th year in February. So it's definitely an important piece to the puzzle. We live in an amazing community and wouldn't feel right not giving back in some way. So, yeah, and the team likes to get on board and get involved.
And do you notice ROI on that, or not? You're not in it for that,
no.
But it does. I always tell people, like, if you start to give, it does come around, and you have to give without expectations of necessarily getting back.
Yeah.
But it does. It comes around, right?
I would agree with you. I think that, like, this idea that, like, giving without, like, expectation is something that I think a lot of people miss, like, locally, but even globally, like,
what's in it for me?
What's in it for me? And like, how am I going to get something out of this? If I give $1,000 donation, how am I going to make money back? It's like, but like, it's a mindset thing. So I'm curious to know, like, because like you probably get approached, like we get approached oftentimes, like to give locally, and like, how do you choose what charities to give to and what charities not to give to?
It's tricky.
It's tough.
But to be honest, so much time and energy goes into our events.
Yeah.
The Swimathon and the toy drive. We have done Dragon Boat in the past.
Yeah.
I sponsor our kids' teams.
Yeah, you guys do a lot. You guys like give a lot, which is amazing.
So I hate to say no to people, but you do have to. I mean, you have to just...
Yeah, like
I'm about to make an ask of you, Vanessa.
No.
No, that was super easy. Neil, you didn't ask the right way. You got to follow the process.
I know. The soft sell.
Yeah.
Top of the funnel, warm the funnel. What is your North Star then for where you're taking this brokerage now? It seems like you're completely locked in and immersed to this world. You're crushing it. But you're like Cody and I. You're super competitive, and I know you have like bigger grand plans. What you can let us in on? Tell us.
Yeah, just definitely continued growth. Continue to evolve as far as the services we're providing. Always looking to do more things to help the agents' lives be a little more calm by providing different services to help them out with that. So we're always thinking about ways we can do that, how to differentiate ourselves. Just always providing them with tools to succeed. And you always have to be creative and think about, okay, what's next? What's next? How can we be different? How can
innovate or else?
Yeah, we'll be starting planning for 2020. Our first meeting's first week of October, and I've already got some ideas for new initiatives for next year, just to keep things exciting. But definitely growth is not going to stop.
Really see that. We really see that within the brokerage. I have a question around, like, within real estate. We've really made kind of a pivot towards helping more real estate professionals track more leads, automate the marketing, sell more homes. What advice do you have to real estate professionals that are just getting into the industry, trying to figure out, the workarounds of, selling a home? I think a lot of times within the industry, as I understand it a little bit more, and we've worked with more real estate professionals, one of the difficulties is, like I've only sold, I'm in my first year of real estate, I've only sold 4 to 5 homes. Like, how do you think is the best way they can take their business to the next level and get from selling, the part-time realtor to the full-time real estate? Like, what advice would you give to them?
There's a lot they can do. It's all boots on the ground, get out there, talk to people every day. It's really a mathematical formula. If you talk to X number of people a day, you're going to get X number of leads. So we run sessions on this all the time. We have a Club 21 performance group that meets once a month, and we talk about the pillars of your business. Are you going to door knock? Are you going to farm? How many people are you calling a day? Are you running client events? There's so much you can do, but you really need to have a plan in place with a goal in mind. How many deals do you want to do this year, and then work it back. So
I love it.
Yeah.
It's pretty competitive real estate. So we live in a market where there's, I don't know, how many real estate agents there
over
are
500
for a limited piece of the pie. I mean, it is growing with the 407 coming. But how do you, to Cody's point, I want to pick up on this deeper dive. It's literally, I've heard 5% of agents really crush it sort of and make a really decent living. To get to that 5%, is it just everything you said, like your network, social media, boots to the ground? Like, is it who you know?
It's not just who you know,
Because the 95% who don't make it, what is it in your mind? Why they can't do it?
I think you just have to be honest with yourself. Like, how much time are you putting into your prospecting? It's all prospecting. Are you getting up in the morning? Are you making your calls? What's your plan? Do you have a goal? What's your vision? You need to have all of those things in place. We have a new agent that started with us. I think he's almost a year now, but his first 6 months, he would be door knocking every day and on the phones and marketing material, social media, like doing everything right and just not catching a break. Then all of a sudden it just opened up for him.
It's interesting.
And he's had a whole bunch of deals. I think he did 3 last month. And I'm just like, you are the success story.
Prospecting
just
came through for him.
Don't give up, keep going. And there's no secret. It's hard work.
Yeah.
Right. And it is competitive, though. It's incredibly competitive, right? Real estate.
Yeah.
To get to that. Is that true, that figure, the 5% I said, that really it's
I don't know. That sounds right. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if that's the exact percentage, but it's a very small percentage of the people that are doing most of the business. And I get asked that all the time. I meet with people that are thinking about getting into the business, and they are intimidated. There are 500 agents in the area. Like, how am I going to be able to make a living? But not all of them are doing all of the things you need to do to succeed. So if you're willing to do the things, you're going to be fine.
I think it's entrepreneurship in general. The people that succeed, I'm going to give Bob Govro a little shout out because he just sent me an email.
Okay.
And he posted something that really stuck with me. And he said that 4% of businesses in the world, and I don't know, like in the world or in Canada, whatever his stat was, 4% of businesses reach $1 million in revenue and over.
Really?
So
4%.
Only 4% of businesses will ever do over $1 million in revenue. So it's super interesting to see, to talk about, even from a business perspective, that the people, if you want a 1% life, and I know you've heard this before, if you want a 1% life, if you want to be a part of that 1% or part of that 5%, you have to be willing to put in the work. You have to be able to put in the processes. And we've chatted a lot about this over the last little while. Those are all processes.
Yeah.
The processes of prospecting, of getting up, of, following up with your leads, having email automation on the back end in order to make sure that your leads are nurtured over a 90-day window. These are all things that we've chatted about. So it's super interesting that and we chatted about these on the podcast in the past. So it's super interesting to just have you echo, that same thing, like put in the work. It's that simple.
Prospecting, and I'll give you the best example. Vanessa and I have known each other forever, but when I started PTBO Canada, it took me years, and I was never hard sell with you, but to get you into the ecosystem. I think I'm going to do something with PTBO Canada, right?
Yeah.
And that's an example of prospecting that I was never hard sell about. I was super chill, soft sell about. Like, that's my sales style. But prospecting sometimes can take years. Prospecting does not mean it's going to happen in 1 or 2 weeks. So to the point of what you said about this guy, he's super grinding, like consistent hustle.
Yeah.
And eventually, guess what? It does come around. It comes to fruition, right? You're not going to get all of them.
No.
You're not going to land all of them.
It's interesting that you say that because, they're like, I've heard this said time and time again within the real estate industry, within really any industry, the fortune's in the follow-up.
Yes.
And, if you kept following up and
don't give up.
I texted Vanessa every day.
Exactly. Video messages every day.
Resistance, right? As Ben Smith said when he was in here a few weeks ago from Century 21. Yeah. It's true though, right?
Yeah.
If it's real.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Vanessa, what would you say to people looking to get into the entrepreneurial ownership world right now? What advice would you give them, nuggets that you were kind of not prepared for or shocked by when you went into it?
That's a great question. I know for sure for me, it is kind of all consuming in a great way.
Yeah.
Like, it takes up my headspace a lot of the time. And
welcome to being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
your head's spinning all the time,
it doesn't turn off.
Yeah. Even at night.
I went for a run this morning and it was amazing. My earpods weren't charged, so I had listened to a podcast or something.
Yeah. StudioPTBO.
Yeah. And I thought, oh well, I'll just go clear my head, and all these ideas were coming to me. Like, it's in your head all the time. And It's very exciting. My husband, Ainsley, I have to give a shout out to him. Ever since this happened, like, I don't think we talk about Holiday Ford at all. It's always Century 21. So I got this. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? And he's so good. Like, he's got to get tired of it. But so I think you need to be ready. It's all consuming. If you're doing the right thing, like, I know this is the best thing I've ever done for my career, in my career. Mm-hmm. So I think if you're loving what you're doing, it's going to be all consuming, but in a good way.
Mm-hmm. And Ainsley, to your point, Ainsley's an entrepreneur. Like owning Holiday Ford and buying that, you two are great sounding boards for each other, right?
It's perfect. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of similarities for sure.
Right.
Yeah, very helpful.
Cool. Wow, I think we covered a lot.
We did cover a lot.
I have one more question to ask, because I think a lot of people bring this up. The development of Peterborough, the 407 coming here. You and I grew up in a city of, I don't know, I'm not going to say 2000, make us look really old. But the city was much smaller then. It was much quieter then. Yeah. It was pretty chill. Mm-hmm. It's getting bigger, which I appreciate in many respects. We don't want to get too big. No. So what does this look like for you, the 407 coming here? Peterborough is a hot real estate market right now. Are you embracing this growth, or do you want to see it level off at some point?
I'm embracing it. I don't think it's going to get too big, even though some people might think it is. And we're already seeing the effects of it. We've been seeing it for years now. Investors know that the 407's coming, and GTA people have been coming in and buying up properties for years now. So I don't know that it's going to spike when the job's complete, which I think is soon in early 2020. But I don't think it's going to slow down. I don't know. It's hard to predict, right?
It is. I think we're far enough removed from the big city that we can't really ever be a real suburb.
No.
Because it is a long drive.
It sure is.
Until the train gets here someday. But my main problem with the growth is there's not enough place to have field parties anymore, Vanessa.
I was going to say the same thing. I don't think they happen as often.
Vanessa and I used to see each other probably.
And with then running
development becomes...
I usually make old jokes with Neil, but I can't right now. like I can't talk about how old Neil is right now. It's like the weirdest thing.
Yeah, I'm not that old, but no, this has been phenomenal. I have to congratulate you. I've seen the growth you've done with this brokerage yourself. Thanks. Phenomenal brand lift yourself, the brokerage, giving back to the community. Super proud of you, and I look forward to continuing the journey with you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
awesome.
Appreciate it.
Well, thank you again for tuning into the Studio PTBO podcast. If you're a real estate professional and you're looking to attract more leads, automate your marketing, sell more homes, we really would love to have you in the digital marketing hacks for real estate professionals. We just launched our 8-week online growth accelerator for real estate professionals, specifically around marketing. So if you want some more information around that, we would love to chat. We also have a Studio PTBO marketing hacks group that is specifically focused around helping entrepreneurs grow and scale their business in the online space. So we would love that. So thank you once again for tuning in the Studio PTBO podcast. We will see you soon.